because nobody needs it.
So we're learning Seches Eruvin chapter 6. The name of the chapter is Hadar, and the page is 76A1. Right, 76. So last thing we discussed in page 75b, we said Rav Nachman said in the name of Rabba Bar Avua, who said in the name of Rav. So ultimately Rav Nachman saying in the name of Rav, two chatzirot, you have two courtyards, and there are three houses between them. So imagine a courtyard here, a courtyard there, and then three houses in between. Okay, it's like a long hot dog. One chatzer courtyard here, three houses, all in one line. Ze ba derech ze, v'noten yiruvo b'ze. Which means the chatzer on one side may come through this house, adjoining it, and place its eruv in the middle house. So now we have three houses, so we're placing eruv chatzerot in the middle house. V'ze ba derech ze, and the other guy that lives in the other chatzer, one is to the east, one is to the west, let's say. So the guy from the east comes to the middle house, and the guy from the west also comes to the middle house. Now, today's daf, it says, Ze nasa beit shar leze, v'ze nasa beit shar leze. The outer house becomes a gatehouse for the chatzer, and this outer house also, on the opposite end, becomes a gatehouse for this other chatzer. Therefore, they do not contribute to the Eruv. They do not contribute to the Eruv. Emtzai, the middle house, Aval Beit Shemanichim Bo Eruv, is the house in which they place the Eruv, Ve'ein tzarich liten et hapat, and therefore it too does not need to give bread towards the Eruv. So remember, when it comes to Eruv, usually every participant has to contribute. Right? Every person has to contribute to the Eruv. But in this case, he says, this outer house on the opposite end becomes a gatehouse for this chatzer. Therefore, they do not have to contribute to the Eruv. Look at number 1. It says, each house becomes a gatehouse for the chatzer to which it has access. Because each chatzer must take its Eruv through the end house to reach the middle one. Right? I think your diagram is over here on the third one.
It's not.
Right, in the first page before 75b3, you see the chatzer A, chatzer B, and three houses in between them. Right, three houses in between. So he says each house becomes a gatehouse for the chatzer to which it has access, because each chatzer must take its eruv through the end house to reach the middle one. They all have to, in order to get to the middle one, they have to go through.
The eruv has to be surrounded the middle one.
The eruv is placed in the middle one. The outer houses are not considered gatehouses for the middle house, as the previous Gemara, because they have equal rights to each other's house. Even if the eruv was placed in one of the outer houses, or even in another house that opened to one of the chatzerot, none of the houses would have to contribute to the eruv. All of the houses would be viewed as gatehouses for one chatzer to take its eruv to the other. So this is just but it's two commentaries, one of the Maharsha and one of the Tosfot on this situation. The point is that what the Gemara is telling us is that they place the eruv in the middle house. Each one has to place his eruv, and therefore turning it into one chatzer, one place that you can carry on Shabbat from one place to another. But the middle house doesn't have to contribute. And therefore it too does not need to give bread toward the eruv. The rationale behind the institution of eruv is that all of the residents of a chatzer are considered as if they live in the house where the bread is placed. Therefore, the owner of the house does not have to make any contribution to the eruv because he actually lives there. What is the food do symbolically? It makes it as if you live in the house. So, assuming that I live in the middle chatzer, my house is in the middle chatzer, and you all live in the other houses, you are contributing, and as if you're living in my house.
You don't have to.
So if you're all living in my house, we have one chatzer. All this area outside is one, and you can all walk around and carry things from one house to another house. But I don't have, because I already live there. I actually live there. You guys are symbolically living in my house because of the eruv. That's what the eruv do.
So the whole purpose here, to make one eruv out of the 3 houses.
To make one domain.
Domain.
One domain.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
And then you can carry. That's really what you're trying to get to. I want to be able to carry from my house to your house. Right? But you have to understand this whole idea of eruv is when you have the eruv around the community, but you also have eruv of when you have, for example, a house. Imagine this is a house, right? No, imagine this is a courtyard, chatzer, right? But this chatzer has houses, one house here, one house here, one house here, and one house here.
They have to do eruv all around the neighborhood in order for everybody to have eruv.
Yeah, but Shlomo HaMelech comes and he said, it's not enough. I need to do eruv chatzerot. What you said is eruv tchumin. Make a tchum. No,
gated neighborhood.
Eruv tchumin is a gated neighborhood, like Century Village. You have
Right.
it's all gated.
So that's eruv. Is that
Right,
true?
but you have to also have eruv chatzerot. What does it mean?
Okay. To carry.
Although
Privately.
what's the issue over here? That let's say the streets of Century Village, the streets, they don't belong to you only. Even though you live there, you have right to walk in the road, but it's not only yours. Even your hallway, you're coming out of your apartment, the hallway is yours, but it's also your neighbor. As much as it is yours, it's also your neighbor's.
Right.
So it's not really Reshut HaYachid.
It's Reshut HaRabim.
It's not Reshut HaRabim either, because
It is Reshut HaRabim.
no, because I
can't
cannot
go there.
it's only for the people who live there.
Yeah, but if somebody comes as a guest, he's allowed to go there.
If he comes and when he comes.
Or
But-
the mailman,
but
or
I,
whatever.
but I cannot take a chair
You
right
need
now.
permission.
I cannot take a chair and sit there in the hallway for a week. Somebody's going to tell me, listen, go to your house.
It's
Right.
permission.
But to you, they can't say anything, right? It's your.
They can sit to me too because I can sleep in the car too.
No, not sleeping, but you can sit there for 10 hours a day. Nobody's going to tell you anything. It's your right. The idea is there is a common usage for
Right.
the people who live in the building,
Right.
but it's not private. So Shlomo HaMelech said, if a few houses are turning into one chatzer, they have to make it means that you take food from each person, and now they can carry into the chatzer. It makes it as if they all live in his house. If I keep the eruv in my house, which is a plate of food, that's all it is. A plate of food that each person gave, now I can, now as if everybody lives in my house and you can carry.
I didn't know that the owner doesn't have to bring. This is new for me.
Because he already lives in the house.
But the Gemara never spoke about it, or I didn't.
Oh, the Gemara mentioned that before.
Yeah.
Badik lo Rachava l'Rabbanan, so Rachava, a name of a person, tested the rabbis by asking the following question. He did a test to the rabbis. Bet chatzerot uvet batim benem. So he gave, before we learned about 3 batim, 3 houses and 2 chatzerot, 2 courtyards and 3 houses. Now Rachava comes to the rabbi, he says, what happens if it's 2 chatzerot and 2 batim? Not 3. זה בא דרך זה ונתן עירובו בזה, וזה בא דרך זה ונתן עירובו בזה. So, what did they do? This chatzer comes through this house, which adjoined to it, and placed its eruv in this other house, which adjoined the other chatzer, and this and this Chatzer came through this house which adjoined to it. V'natan Eruv Bazen placed its Eruv in this other house which adjoined to it. So each person placed the Eruv in the other person's Chatzer, or the other person's house. Kanu Eruv or lo? Did they each acquire an Eruv or not? What is he really asking? It is obvious that if both houses are viewed as gatehouses, neither Eruv is effective, since an Eruv may not be placed in a gatehouse, as the Mishnah teaches later. At the same time, if both are viewed as houses, not gatehouses, neither Eruv is effective. If both are viewed as houses, neither Eruv is effective. Why? Since neither house joined the Eruv of its Chatzer. Carrying from it to its Chatzer is forbidden. Neither Chatzer's Eruv bread could be brought to it, since it would have to pass through a house from which it cannot be carried into the Chatzer. That's Rashi's interpretation. Kanu Eruv or lo? So he asked, did they each acquire an Eruv or not? So ze baderech ze v'natan Eruvo v'ze baderech ze. What exactly did they do? How do you understand it? What you have two chatzerot and two houses. Now they need to place an Eruv, right? So what exactly did they do? When you read the Gemara, what do you understand? Where did they put the Eruv?
Around the whole neighborhood.
No. But it looks to me like, let's say, the guy in house A has his own Eruv, and the guy in house B had his own Eruv, and it went out to looking at the picture. So the Chatzar was on the left side of house A and the right side of house B, and then there was no connection with these guys. Am I missing something explaining how it's different?
It's just they just were not clear about where did they place the Eruv. It says ze ba derech ze, which means that the one who lives in the Chatzer, right? Ba derech ze he came through the house that is open to his yard. V'natan et Eruvo beze, he placed the Eruv in the house that is open to the other Chatzer. So I guess it seems like each person placed the Eruv in the other person's house.
Oh, like this. Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
One puts it in A, and one puts it in B.
Yeah, the guy, the Baal A puts it in B, and so they switch like this. All right, whatever. Okay, so then why wouldn't it be?
So Rachva wanted to know, Kanu Eruv or lo? Is the Eruv effective, and they can carry to the yard, or cannot? What is the dilemma? What is the doubt over here? So he says, Mi mashvinan leu legabei de'ai bait u legabei de'ai beit shar. Mi mashvinan leu. Can we consider one house comparing to the Chatzer, right? Mi mashvinan lehu. Mi mashvitlu. Do we reckon each of the houses as a house in relation to this Chatzer on the far side, and a gatehouse, Beit Shar, a gatehouse in relation to this Chatzer which it adjoins? May a house be viewed as Chatzer? May a house be viewed as Chatzer's house to validate its Eruv, and be viewed as Chatzer gatehouse, so it will invalidate that Chatzer Eruv, and vice versa. Imashus Lehu, do we reckon each of the houses as a house in relation to this Chatzer on the far side, and a gatehouse in relation to this Chatzer which it adjoins? And similarly with the other house as a gatehouse in relation to this Chatzer which it adjoins, or legabe daibais, and as a house in relation to this Chatzer on its far side that placed its Eruv in it. The bottom line is, Omulei, the rabbi said to him, Shneyen lo kanu eruv. Neither chatzer requires eruv. Manafshach. Whatever way you turn, this is so. If you reckon each house as a gatehouse, the eruv is not valid. Why each house is a gatehouse? I guess because it's leading to a chatzer.
Yeah, but the B doesn't show that it has a gate to the courtyard. The house B. The house A has a door.
By me also, it's like a square. The diagram shows that it's a complete closed box.
Yeah.
But obviously, it has an opening to the chatzer. Maybe they didn't write it, but so it's not so much about the functionality of it, but we're asking, how do I view it? Do I view it as Beit Shar, as a gatehouse, or I don't? It says, neither chatzer requires an eruv. Whatever way you turn, this is so. If you reckon each house to be a gatehouse, the eruv is not valid. Because the Mishnah states later, as we said before, the Mishnah in 87 or 85, Mishnah 85b tells us that Beit Shar is not acquiring an eruv, which is a gatehouse. If you're placing an eruv in a gatehouse, is not valid. If you reckon each house to be a gatehouse, it was not valid because the Mishnah states later.
Why isn't it valid?
We'll see it in 85b, but I think because you can consider. It's probably not a proper dwelling to say you're living in a gatehouse.
Okay, that means to me that okay, so how can
But
we
they
have,
didn't say it yet.
okay,
It's probably.
let's say that's the spur. So then we're having a box of masa in the kitchen. Nobody's living here. I mean, we learn here, we daven here, whatever.
You can say also no one contributed to it.
That's another thing. Another thing you could say.
But that's
about
not. Remember, it's not halacha right now. This is
okay, all right. Halakha
the background
The
too.
door is not considered a gatehouse. The door. If it has a door.
They have doors. All the gatehouses have doors. You got a door over here by your gatehouse. Just sit in that room there. You give me your license.
So every house is a gatehouse.
Right.
Every house is a gatehouse, not necessarily so, because you have to have. If your house is being used, meaning let imagine that your backyard is also my backyard, okay, and the only way for me to get to your backyard is through your house. Imagine there's no other access to the backyard; there's only through your house. So if I go through your house, like this guy A, he goes to Chatzer B, he goes through B house. So do I view B house as a gatehouse? Because I have to, I'm using B house to get into the Chatzer B.
Yes.
So it's like a gatehouse.
Yes.
From the perspective of guy B, he's living there. That's his house. It's not a gatehouse.
A is a gatehouse.
Yeah, it's just a way to get to the backyard. But again, this is just my logic, but I don't, it's not necessarily how the Gemara sees, because it seems like the Gemara is saying if you would consider it as a gatehouse, the Eruv is not valid. If you reckon each house to be a gatehouse, the Eruv is not valid, because the Mishnah states later, Anoten Yeruvo 8. So this is the Mishnah in 85b. Probably in 10 days from now I'll get to it. But it says Anoten Yeruvo Beveit Shar, meaning you put your Eruv, you place the Eruv in the gatehouse, Aksadro Merpeset, or in portico or gallery, right? Eino Eruv. The Eruv is not valid. Bite mashvisle, if you reckon each one to be a house, each Chatzer would have to carry its Eruv bread through a house, which it is not joined to it in an Eruv. So, if we're considering it as a gatehouse, it's not good. If we're considering it as a house, each Chatzer would have to carry its Eruv bread through a house which is not joined to it in an Eruv. Now, what is the difference between this case and the case of Rava? The Amar Rava, for Rava said, in regard to the laws of Eruvei Techumim. Eruvei Techumim is the Eruv, the general Eruv, the Tchum. Yeah. So we're up to where you're placing it, meaning it gives you 2,000 amot, right? So I'm just, what is the name for just regular Eruv? No. Eruv Tchumim is the Eruv that we're placing to be able to walk 2,000, right? Extra 2,000 amot. What about just the community Eruv?
Eruv?
Yeah, just Eruv.
Just Eruv.
We have Eruv Tchumin, Eruv Chatzer, Eruv Tavshilim, that you can cook from Yom Tov to Shabbat, right? And the regular Eruv, and the Eruv that you put around the community, like.
I think that would be the Eruv Chatzeros.
No, that's the what we take from each. That's the Eruv that you said. How I puts them on.
That's why he has that. Yeah, I know what he's doing. Why we do that.
But we can say that this is part of the Eruv, meaning you have the Eruv, the string goes around the town.
Right, the whole thing.
The string goes around town, and part of it you have to do this in order to make it completely good, right?
Right.
So the Gemara says, if two people told someone, go, make an Eruv for us. So two people told somebody, make Eruv for us. They appointed him as their agent. For one of them, he made the Eruv while it was still day, before the Shabbos began. And for the other one, he made the Eruv during the twilight period. Now, this one, for whom he made an Eruv while it was still day, had his Eruv eaten during the twilight period. And this one for whom he had made an Eruv during the twilight period, had the Eruv eaten after dark. Both of them acquire an Eruv. In this case, twilight is viewed ambivalently.
They're not thrilled with the whole thing.
Not thrilled with the whole thing. Why can the houses are not be viewed in a similar way? Shneim konu eruv. Both of them acquire an eruv. In this case, twilight is viewed ambivalently. Why can the houses not be viewed in a similar way? See 14. Since the day or night status of the twilight period is in doubt, is it day or night, we rule leniently in regard to the rabbinic clause of Eruv. Even though the two rulings should be mutually exclusive, for the person who had his Eruv eaten during twilight, it is reckoned as night, so that we may say that his Eruv already took effect. For the person whose Eruv was made during twilight, it is reckoned as day, So we may assume that his Eruv took effect before the start of the Shabbos. Here also we should rule leniently and let each house perform a dual function. For the person who had his Eruv eaten during twilight, it is reckoned as night.
That way, it's like it was there the whole day,
Right.
and therefore he can walk.
Right, so that we may say that his Eruv already took effect. For the person whose Eruv was made during twilight, it is reckoned as day, so he may assume that his Eruv took effect before the start of the Shabbos. Here also we should rule leniently and let each house perform a dual function. So it says trying to be lenient in Eruvin.
Right.
So why do we bring this case? We mentioned the case of Rachavo. Rachavo said that it seems like his case leads to to be stringent, because whatever you do is not good. If you consider it a gatehouse is not good, and if you consider it a house, it seems like it's not good. If you reckon each one to be a house, each chotzer would have to carry its Eruv bread through a house which is not joined in to it in an Eruv. So in this case we see that we are lenient. Now what kind of comparison? Why are you bringing this case? It's not even comparable. Why? In the case of a twilight period, there's a doubt whether it's day or night. You have a suffix. It is not known. It is, which it's not a noticeable thing. Is not a noticeable thing. It is possible that both Eruvs are valid, since the first part of the twilight period is day, and the second part is night. The doubt being the exact time when the transition takes place. Ritva. So, now what kind of comparison is this? The doubt of the twilight period being day or night, lo mikal milta, is not a noticeable thing. Aval hacha, but here, in the case of the two houses, it is noticeable. Either legabe dai bais, legabe dai bais, legabe dai beishar, legabe dai nami beishar. If in relation to this chotzer it is classified a house, then in relation to this other chotzer it must also be classified a house. And if in relation to the chotzer it is classified as a gatehouse, then in relation to the other chotzer too, it must be classified a gatehouse. It is therefore not possible to permit both Eruv Chatzeros. Adron aloch hador. We shall return to you, hador. It says in 16, the houses are standing before us. If we give them one status, gatehouse or houses, for one ruling, and then a different status for the other ruling, the rabbinic clause would become a subject of derision, and give the Saddukis an opening to ridicule the rabbis.
Yeah.
You can't consider it a house when you're comfortable and then consider it a gatehouse when it's not working for you.
Yeah.
They had power, this guys, Rabbi. These Saddukis, right? The oral society, they had a lot of power there.
Yeah. Obviously, otherwise we wouldn't even know their name.
Yeah.
So,
Do you know, they took care of something in Beit HaMikdash? Like of department, something?
I know that there was a Kohen. The Gemara says a story about a Kohen that was even a high priest. There was a high priest that was a tzedukah.
He changed
Oh,
it
they
again.
can be a
The second Beis Hamikdash, there was a lot of corruption, money.
Yeah, they were buying the kahuna.
In one way, it shows something amazing. The guy's willing to buy something that is very holy.
And it's going to kill him.
Possibly.
So these are the Kohanim that died, And
Yeah, that's where the one with the chain, because they didn't have the
There's a
proper-
scary story in the Gemara that a Kohen that is Tzeduki, Kohen Gadol Tzeduki, before he went in, his father told him not to follow the ways of the Tzedukim. His father was a Tzeduki himself. So, because they had their own understanding of how things needs to be done in the Holy of Holies. So his father was afraid for his life. His father told him to do it in the Orthodox way. So the Gemara says that he told his father, "What am I, a hypocrite? I'm going to do it. This is what we learned. This is how we do things, and I'm going to do it."
Yeah.
So obviously, he went in and died. He came out. They said that the Gemara describes it some kind of an angel kicked him in the head. So they say that there was they said that on his forehead there was a mark of like a calf foot, like the foot of
a horseshoe.
something to that effect. But he got an angelic kick.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
So the relevant terms to chapter 7 is a mechitza, a partition, barrier between two mechitzas that measures at least 10 tefachim vertically. It may be a wall, ditch, or any obstacle, haystack that divides the two areas. Pesach is a portal, an opening at least 4 tefachim wide in the partition, allows access from one chutzah to the other. And then another term is mi'ut. Mi'ut is reduction, an object, platform or pile, or earth or stones, 4 tefachim wide, that is placed at the base of a partition to reduce its height. So if you have a partition, imagine this is a partition, right? So now I'm placing over here a platform.
You make it lower.
So now the partition is low, right? It's called mi'ut. I'm reducing its height. Okay, so we'll see. Go back for a second to the introduction. I think this A, B, and C will be very important for us to know to help us understand the 7th chapter. So it says, if two chatzeros are joined, I'll read from the beginning. The previous chapter dealt with several cases of 2 or more chatzeros joined together in one communal eruv. The first 5 mishnahs of this chapter now delineate when 2 chatzeros cannot join in one eruv. So we're trying to figure out when they cannot join in one eruv, but must each make their own eruv. When they cannot make independent eruvin, but must join in one eruv, and when they are afforded
The choice.
and when they are afforded the choice of an independent or a joint eruv, the law depends on the degree of separation between the chatzeros. Let's see. A, if 2 chatzeros adjoined each other and are not adequately separated, they are considered one chatzer, and the residents of both chatzeros must share one communal eruv before they may carry from their homes even into their respective areas. It is not sufficient for the resident of each chatzer to make their own eruv. That's because they touch each other, they butt each other. B, in reverse situation where the 2 chatzeros are totally separated from one another by means of a partition, the resident of one chatzer may not make a joint eruv with the resident of the other chatzer for the purpose of passing object back and forth over the partition. The object of an eruv is to merge all of the participants into one unit or household, where the participants are separated by a complete partition. They cannot reasonably be considered one unit. As a result, no common eruv is possible. And C, as will be seen, there are instances when a partition is judged sufficient to separate two chatzeres, yet it does not preclude the making of a common eruv by the two chatzeres. So partition is judged sufficient to separate two chatzeres, yet does not preclude the making of a common eruv by the two. This occurs when the partition, although valid, does not totally divide the two chatzeres. Under such circumstances, a common eruv is not mandatory but discretionary. Okay. Our Mishnah discusses the case of two chatzeros that are separated by a wall at least 10 tefachim high. However, the wall has a window through which objects might be passed. The Mishnah discusses the conditions under which these two chatzeros may be joined together by a communal eruv. Chalon sheben beis chatzeros, in a case of a window between two chatzeros, daled al daled, that is at least 4 by 4, b'sei chasoro, and located within 10 tefachim of the ground, me'ovim shnaim, they, the residents of the two chatzeros, may join in two independent eruvs, because the chatzeros are still considered separate areas. So what do we have here? A window between two chatzeros, 4 by 4 window, and it's within 10 tefachim of the ground. The residents of two chatzeros may join in two independent eruvs, meaning they're not considered one, they can make their own thing, because the chatzeros are still considered separate areas. V'im rotzu me'orvin, if they desire, they may join in a communal eruv, because the window connects them. Meaning, if they desire, they may join in one communal eruv because the window connects them, so they can choose. Pochos midaled al daled. But if the window is less than 4 by 4, or lemala miyud, or is entirely above 10 tefachim from the ground, they must join in two independent eruvs, ve'ein me'arvin, but may not join in one common eruv, because in this case the chatzeros are considered two completely separated areas. So we have to see if what they mean by it. What is the objective of the eruv, to carry from one chotzer to the other, or just to carry in the same chotzer?
I don't know why they separated this from what we were just learning in the other parak, but okay.
Or we're dealing now more. The discussion is going to revolve around the partitions itself. If there is if the separation is so, I'd say the separation is like, it's in your face, so to speak. It's like you have a wall around you. How can I consider you as my chotzer? Yeah. So we say it's opening. How big is the opening? How low is it? Okay. So it's more evolving. The discussion is more about the partitions. And if we can take one eruv, we can have one eruv or two eruvim. But I'm asking, if you have one eruv or two eruv, when you have one eruv, you can understand the objective is to carry from one to the other. But you have two eruvim, each one is doing a separate eruv. Is that the objective is that they can carry in their own yard, or they can carry from one place to another? Because think about it, if you have a house in a backyard, you don't need an eruv, because it's only you. It's not considered chotzer. Right. But when you have other people, then you need an eruv. So assuming you live in a townhouse, 5 families living in a townhouses, they all share one yard.
Right.
And then there's another 5 families that are living next to us. can they all,
Join in one area, but
even though there is a wall, even though there is
Right,
a
so
fence
it's,
that separates the two courtyards?
Okay, that's why they got the parrot. Okay, no problem.
Lema Tena, Stamach Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. Let us say, first of all, that we're following Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. Damar Kol Pachos Midal Kol Lavud Dami, who said that anything less than 4 amis is considered lavud. If you remember, we mentioned lavud many times, that it's considered, even though it's above ground, we were considering it as if it's going all the way to the ground.
Right. We had that in Sukkot.
Right, in Sukkot, it's the principle of lavud allows us to view the small opening as though each of its sides were extended and attached to the side opposite it, thereby effectively closing the opening. This rule is part of the old tradition received by Moshe at Sinai. The Omar Kol Pachos Midal Kol Lavud Dami. Any opening that is less than 4 tfachim is considered lavud. Therefore, a window that measures less than 4 tfachim by 4 tfachim is regarded as closed and would not connect the 2 chatzeres. The Gemara says, "Afilu tema kerabanon." You may even say that our Mishnah accords with the opinion of the rabbis. The rabbis argued with Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, "Ela iyan levudin," only in matters of lavud, ruling that only an opening less than 3 tfachim wide is considered closed. Aval in pischo, however, regarding the definition of a legal portal, afilu rabon maidu, even the rabbis concede that if there is an opening of 4 tfachim by 4 tfachim, chash, the window is significant and thus qualifies as a portal. And if the opening is not at least 4 tfachim by 4 tfachim, loy chashiv, the window is not significant and does not qualify as a portal. Brochus midaled, if the window is less than 4, pshita kevadom daled, since the Mishnah already said that the window to be considered a portal which connects the 2 chatzeros, it must be at least 4 tfachim by 4 tfachim. Besoy chasoro, and be located within 10 tfachim off the ground. I would naturally understand from this that if the window was less than 4 tfachim by 4 tfachim or above 10 tfachim from the ground, it does not qualify as a portal between the 2 chatzeros. Why was it necessary for the Mishnah to state explicitly what could easily be inferred? Kamash Molan Taime. This second statement of the Mishnah informs us the reason a window above 10 tfachim is invalid, because it is entirely above 10 tfachim. However, if even a portion of the window is within 10 tfachim off the ground, the window qualifies as a portal in the wall. Ma'ovin Shnaim, and they, the residents of the 2 chatzeros, may join in 2.
It has to be above 4 and below 10. This is what we're saying here.
Yeah, Ma'ovin Shnaim, and they, the residents of the 2 chatzeros, may join in 2 independent Eruvin, Rotzu Ma'ovin Echod, and if they desire, they may join in common Eruv. Tanina Lo, the Tanu Rabbanon, we learned in our Mishnah what the rabbis taught in the following Baita, Kulu Lamala Miyud, K'tzosu V'sei Chasoro. If almost the entire window is above 10 tfachim, but a small portion of it is within 10 tfachim, Kulu B'such Yud, or if almost the entire window is within 10 tfachim of the ground, but a portion of it is above 10 tfachim, Ma'ovin Shnaim, the resident of 2 chatzeros may join in 2 independent Eruv. Or if they desire, they make 1 common Eruv. The entire window is above 10 tfachim from the ground, and a small portion of it is within 10 tfachim. Omar, you have said, Ma'ovin Shnaim, they may join in 2 independent Eruvim, or if they desire, they may join in 1 common Eruv. Kulu B'such Yud, where almost the entire window is within 10 tfachim of the ground. Miksosa, Malam Yud, and only a small portion of it is above 10 tfachim. Ibaya, is it necessary to teach that in this second case, as well, the window effectively connects the 2 chatzeros? If the window qualifies as a portal, even when most of it is higher than 10 tefachim, certainly it qualifies when most of it is located within the essential of 10 tefachim partition. Zu ve'ein tzorich lemar zu kasani. The Tana taught these two rulings in this first ruling, and is not even necessary to mention the second ruling for man. The law contained in the first part of the Mishnah or Brisa is more innovative than that contained in the second part. Although this method is not commonly used, the superfluous second ruling does serve to underscore the novelty of the first ruling. A round window in the wall between two chatzeros must have a circumference of 24 tefachim in order to allow the two chatzeros to join together in one eruv. Ushnaim mashu mehen, and the lower two tefachim and a bit more of these b'soichud must be within 10 tefachim of the ground, she'im yirabenu, so that if one inscribes a square of 4 by 4 tefachim inside the circle, nimtza mashu b'toch yud, it will be found that a bit of that square is within 10 tefachim of the ground, as the Mishnah requires. The Gemara analyzes the mathematics of Rabbi Yochanan's requirement of 24 tefach circumference. Mikdi. Let us see, we have a rule called sheyesh be'ekev shlosh tefachim. Any circle which has a circumference of 3 tefachim, yesh bo beroch b'tefach, has a diameter of a tefach, be'srisal sagir. If so, a circumference of 12 tefachim should be sufficient to allow for a diameter of 4 tefachim.
Do our geometry.
The Meir suggests in 16, Meir suggests the Gemara is postulating that the window need not be large enough to inscribe a square of 4 by 4, but it is sufficient for it to be a circle with a diameter of 4 tefachim.
I'm upset if we can geometry.
Animili beigula. The width is only true in a circle. However, in a square we need more. The perimeter of a square is more than 3 times its width. The perimeters of a square is more than 3 times its width. How much greater is the perimeter of a square than the circumference of the circle? Inscribed in Ravia, a quarter. If so, a circumference of 16 tefachim should be sufficient for a circular window. A circle which is inscribed in a square. However, for a square which is inscribed in a circle, we need more. My time. What is the reason? Because of the protrusion of the corners which the circle must contain. Mikdi, let us see, kol amasu v'ribua, every amma of the side of a square, amasu usrei chumshe balachsena, makes for an amma and 2/5 in the diagonal of that square. B'shiveisar nechei chumshe sagyo, if so, a circumference of 7th less, a 5th. If so, a circumference of 17 less a 5th, 16 and 4/5 is sufficient. Why did Rabbi Yochanan require a circumference of 24 tefachim? According to this logic, he says you would need less, 17 less, not 24. So the Gemara does not question the accuracy of the mathematical calculations that prove a window which is a circumference of 16 and 4 tefachim would suffice. However, the Gemara now explains why Rabbi Yochanan ruled to require a circumference of 24 tefachim for the round window. Rabbi Yochanan Omar Kidani de Kesor. Rabbi Yochanan pronounced his ruling according to the opinion of the judges of Caesarea. And some say that it was according to the opinion of the rabbis of Caesarea. The Omri, Igula Migoi Ribu Ariva, a circle inscribed in a square. A circle inscribed in a square has a perimeter which is 1/4 less than the circumference of the square. Again, a circle inscribed in a square, I guess is the first picture, has a perimeter which is 1/4 less than the circumference of the square. Ribua migoi gula palgo, while the perimeter of a square which is inscribed in a circle is smaller by 1/2 than the circumference of the circle which it is inscribed.
They don't have a picture. A circle inscribed in a square means the circle's inside. Oh yeah. I mean, if you okay, I see. Then they have a square inside. Okay, all right.
It looks like in both cases the square is inside the circle.
Okay, the whole thing is a circle inscribed in a square, and then they have another square inscribed in the circle. Okay.
Right, because if you look at the whole box, right?
Right.
The outer box.
All right, I got it. I had to say it to get it.
So, our Mishnah said, "Pachos midal." If the window is less than 4x4, remember the name of this chapter is Chalon. Chalon is a window. Look, at these windows are interesting rectangles. So, Pachos midal dadal. These windows are, some of them are less than 4x4.
For sure.
And this is a round window. Right?
Hashem is worried with this, Rabbi.
Hashem?
Yeah. He's really worried with this. There's so many things. I'm not telling that we have to study, but this is important. This is how important is this in the scale? If you have how important is this in this scale?
So the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot says, "En adam yodea matan scharan shel mitzvot." We don't know what is kal and what is chamor, what is significant and what is not. The thing is, everything is significant when you need it, when the information is needed. Besides of knowing the mitzvah of knowing Torah, but if you're a rabbi and you need to make an eruv or you are asked a question about two people that are living in the same place, and they have two people living next to each other, and each one has chatzer, and chatzer has a fence, and the fence has an opening. If the fence has an opening, what do? Do we need to make a separate eruv? Do we need to make one eruv? So those who really broke their head is the Shulchan Aruch, because they had to learn all this and to tell you what the bottom line, what's the halacha. So they had to figure out. They had to go through this to get to the halacha.
For me, it's difficult.
Well, this is what do you say? Call it is geometry.
Geometry. I was good
I
at geometry.
miss the days of.
I'm 72 now. I learned geometry when I was 13 or 14, so I forgot it.
The song goes, don't know much about...
It's like Sam Cooke. Don't know much about history, don't know much about geometry.
Yeah.
Alright, we won't go there.
Amar Rav Nachman, so Poches Midad Dal Dal, if a window is less than 4x4, our Mishnah ruled that a window between two chatzirot must be at least 4x4. Okay? And partially within 10 tefachim off the ground. So two things you have to know, 4x4 and 10 tefachim off the ground, in order to permit the chatzirot to join in one eruv, in communal eruv. Rav Nachman limits the latter ruling to the case of joining chatzirot. Amar Rav Nachman lo yishonu. We learned Ela chalon sheben beit chatzirot. Only in regard to a window that is between two chatzirot. Aval chalon sheben bet batim. Imagine a window that is between two houses. Afilu lemala ma'asor nami, even one completely above 10 tfachim. Im rotzu la'orev me'ovin. If the occupants of the two homes desire to join together, me'ovin echod, they may join in one communal eruv, and the objects may then be transferred between the two houses. So, when do you need a requirement of 4x4 and 10 tfachim off the ground?
Yeah.
Is on the two chatzerot, not two batim. Imagine your house, like townhouses. Townhouses have a common wall, right? And the wall in the middle belongs to the two houses. Mutual. Now, if we're good friends, we'll make a window. So we'll make a window so I can pass things to your house, you pass things to my house. Even if the window is more than 10 tfachim above the ground, it says you can make one eruv. Yeah. Meaning, when I say make one eruv, it implies that it's one reshut. We can turn it into one reshut. And say each one has to make his own eruv, means that it's too much of a wall, too much of a separation, that we can make it one eruv. This is my time. What is the reason, the case, that in this case the window is acceptable, even though it is entirely above 10 tfachim? Beisa keman de molidom, because a house is regarded as being full of objects. Hence the window is considered as though it were not higher than 10 tfachim from the floor. So this is going to the concept of mi'ut. Remember we learned?
Yeah.
So although there's a window, but since there's a chair here, the chair makes the window not yeah. So that's it.
Above 10 tfachim is good.
The chair takes
Above 10 tfachim makes it I would say seemingly it makes it two reshiyot.
Okay.
Because it's above the ground. It's not a regular normal opening. But in this case, because it's two houses that are touching each other, Rav Nachman says that even if it's above 10 tefachim, there's still one reshut.
Because of the things that are on the floor and make it slow.
Because a house has a lot of objects around in the house. You have furniture, you have this, you have that.
Mm-hmm.
Easy, Nachman. So Rav challenged Rav Nachman. To me, he says it's all the same. It's all the same to me. A window that is between two chatzerot, and a window that is between two houses. Meaning, Rav Nachman differentiated between a window of two houses and a window of two chatzerot. Comes Rava and he says to me it's the same thing. Window between two attics. Window between two roofs. Window between two rooms. In all these cases, the window must be 4x4. Within 10 tefachim off the ground. And Braisa thus extends the rule of our Mishnah to a window that connects two houses. This contradicts Rav Nachman's ruling. So we see from Rava's ruling, contradicts Rav Nachman. Meaning Rava is challenging Rav Nachman from another Braisa. He cites a Braisa, it doesn't make a difference. In all these cases, whether it's houses, chatzer, roofs, attics, you need to have 4x4 and 10 tefachim off the ground. Targuma Achatzeros applied the Baisa. So Rav Nachman he answered with two words: Targuma Achatzeros, which means apply the Baisa's ruling regarding the height of the connecting window to Chatzerot and other open areas. However, a window between two houses or two other enclosed areas may be located entirely above 10 tfachim. But it was taught in the Baisa, it's all the same to me, which implies that the height requirement is identical for all cases of the Baita, including those windows that connect houses and other enclosed areas. Of Nachmanesa Targuma Daled al Daled. Apply the expression, it's all the same to me, which equates all the cases of the Baisa only to the requirement that the window be 4 tfachim by 4 tfachim. However, the requirement that a window must be located within 10 tfachim off the ground does not apply to windows that connect houses or other enclosed areas. Bamine, the Gemara trying to understand Rav Nachman's principle. Bamine Rav Nachman, Rav Abba asked Rav Nachman, Lula pasuach min bais lali. Overhead window which opens from a house to attic. Window opens from a house to an attic. Tzorchok will require a permanent ladder lahatiroi to serve as a portal in order to permit the joining in a common eruv by the owners of the house and attic. Or does it not require a permanent ladder lahatiroi to permit them to join in an eruv? So Rabbi Abba explains that his question concerns the conceptual nature of Rav Nachman's principle. When we say that a house is regarded as being full, so that a window above 10 tfachim is nevertheless considered a convenient passage between two areas, these words are only in reference to one side, to a window on the side, in the wall of the house. But if the window is in the middle of the house, in the ceiling, since it is not a convenient passage, it cannot serve as a portal between the house and the attic. And so a ladder must be erected. Or perhaps it makes no difference where the window is located, since in any event, the interior airspace of an enclosed structure is regarded as non-existent, so that the windows cannot receive a height dimension. In this case, even an overhead window is a valid portal, and a ladder is unnecessary. Amar le'enot tzarich, the overhead window does not require a ladder. The window itself serves as a portal to connect the two areas. Sovo minei, Rabbi Abba understood this answer, sulam kavod ein tzorich or sulam arai tzorich, permanent ladder which is not required, but a temporary ladder is required. Itmar, however, it was said, Rav Yosef bar Manyumi Amar Rav Nachman, Rav Yosef bar Manyumi said in the name of Rav Nachman, echad sulam kavod, echad sulam arai, ein tzorich. Whether a permanent ladder or a temporary ladder, ein tzorich, neither is required.
What does it mean, permanent ladder, temporary ladder?
Just to go to the attic.
No, I got about the attic. Okay, so up there is our window between this house and the next house. So I need a ladder to get to get there to put stuff through there to the next guy, right? Is this so? I'm gonna have a ladder.
No, you have to understand the case first. It's a house and attic that are owned separately.
A house and an attic okay, so somebody lives in an attic separately from me, so it's an attic apartment, let's say.
Let's say you have a house and I own your attic.
Okay, fine.
So two structures were connected only by an opening in the floor of the attic, which was more than 10 tefachim above the floor of the house.
Which makes everyone different place.
Now, if you have a permanent ladder, it means that it has an access, easy access.
So it's like stairs.
Yeah.
Stairs, I understand permanent stairs.
So he says no. So he told him, I from the fact that you say that it doesn't need a permanent ladder, I understand that a temporary ladder is required. You look in 25, he says, Rabbi Abba thought that although it was unnecessary to leave a ladder next to the window all week, one should place a ladder there for the Shabbos in order to connect the two areas.
Yeah, during the week, everybody's doing their own thing. On Shabbos, whatever, I'm giving you some cholent or something. The guy up there,
How do you go out?
the bucker
giving
gets some
nothing?
cholent.
How do you go out?
It says in a Mishnah in Shabbos about Hananya, Rabbi Hananya, who said all these rulings in the attic. The attic over.
Yeah, right. We had that.
Right.
Okay, whatever. Okay, all right.
If a wall between two chatzeros gaveh asor v'chorbo is 10 tefachim high and 4 tefachim wide, they, the residents of the two chatzeros, may join in two independent eruvs. But they may not join in one common eruv, since there is no portal in the wall. The two chatzeros are completely separate areas. If there was food on top of the wall, these residents may ascend from here, from the chotzer, and eat the foods, and those residents may ascend from here, from the other chotzer, and eat the food. Provided they do not bring any food down into their respective chatzeros. If the wall was breached, up to a length of 10 amis, they may join in two independent eruvs. Or if they desire, they may join in one communal eruv, because the breach is like a portal, and so partition remains valid. However, if the breach is more than that, wider than 10 amis, they may join in one common eruv, but they may not join in two independent eruvs. A breach wider than, you see, if the breach is wide, then it makes it one chotzer, not without an eruv, but one eruv would be sufficient. A breach wider than 10 amis is too large to be considered a portal. It's an
opening?
No,
Yeah,
let's
opening.
say this is thicker that you,
and therefore nullify the partition.
like
A big opening. Therefore, the chatzeros are considered one area, and if the residents desire an eruv, they must join one common eruv for both chatzeros.
right, I got that. That makes sense.
The Mishnah discussed the case of a wall 4 tefachim wide. The Gemara now inquires, if the wall does not have a width of 4 tefachim, it's not a 20-inch wall, what is the law? The airspace of two domains, the two unmerged chatzeros control the top of the wall. Therefore, one may not move anything on it, even as much as the fullness of a hair. 32. Although it is sufficiently tall, the top surface of the wall is too narrow to be considered a separate domain. Rav therefore understands that the wall is subsumed by both chatzeros, so that any carrying on the top is deemed a transfer from one chatzer to another. Ritva explained, the Gemara is speaking of a case in which the two chatzeros made independent eruvs. Rav held that under those circumstances, one may not transfer objects, even those laying in the chatzer, at the advent of the Shabbos, from one chotzer to another. Okay, welcome to you.
Okay, so Shabbos ends tomorrow, 7:19. So, here, so let's see, so that means you'll be davening mincha at 6:19.